is this just what life is? Is all these crazy things that continuously happen every few years? Or is it just now, like in the
Yeah.
past 20 years, that it's just been chaotic?
We've seen a few tough times. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for my brothers and my sister, because they're like early 20s, late teens. So in their lifetime, they've basically seen like the upset of 9/11, the collapse of 2008, a pandemic, potential world war right now. Like it's been rough for your generation. Just, I mean, do you feel that?
I've
Do you have something to compare that to?
I've been thinking about it. That's funny you brought it up because over the past few weeks, I've really been thinking about it, and you might be the right person to talk to just because you're a little bit older than me.
Barely.
Yeah, and I'm wondering in that is this just how life is? Is that life is a series of these almost catastrophic events, and you just progress through it or you don't. And luckily, we've always progressed through it
Yeah.
in the world. But you don't realize that as a kid because your life is consumed with school and with how, you know, going to this class or meeting this girl or, trying out for this team. And then after high school and more so after college, well, a little bit in college, you start to get that awakening of, oh, this is the real world. And then you start to notice these events and you start to see them. And I don't know. Is that how life always is? Maybe I should talk to someone who's like 90 and say,
Yeah.
hey, is this just what life is? Is all these crazy things that continuously happen every few years? Or is it just now, like in the
Yeah.
past 20 years, that it's just been chaotic?
Initially, what I wanted to say is, like I grew up as a kid in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and a lot of people like to say like the 90s were a really good time for us, and really as a nation they kind of were, but at the same time, looking back on it, I just wasn't aware of the Gulf crisis in the early 90s, and I wasn't, privy to all the challenges that were going on in the nation. It was a really polarized time in the 90s too for a while there. A lot of people didn't realize that we basically went all like, hardcore left and hardcore right of a president getting a BJ. So, you know, um, yeah. I don't really know. I think a historian would probably be better, like a U.S. historian or, journalist who's been around for a lot longer than me.
Because
But
you're only 27.
no, I'm 33.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, you're young enough where you kind of fall into the same boat that I just laid out, where it's
Yeah.
like I mean, we didn't get to see the 70s and the 80s and
Especially when I started
experience.
paying attention.
Yeah,
Like really when I started paying attention, it seemed like, oh wow, there's a lot of rough
a lot of shit
things.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.